Hey everyone, if you're one of my regular, sorry, hi everyone, if you're one of my regular viewers, you know that I've totally changed up my format on when I do albums. I don't do my Canadian content at certain points anymore, and I don't do Alice Cooper albums at certain points anymore. That being said, we're going to do an Alice Cooper album. Alice Cooper, The Eyes of Alice Cooper. Now, you'll see there's a pretty little ticket stub here, and you'll see there's a guitar pick there. That is because I saw Alice when he toured this album. And it's hard to see because the signature is kind of, see if we get it from the right angle. I didn't have a really good pen at the time. You can kind of see the gold right there. That's Eric Dover's signature on this album. Guy right there. Met him on the tour. All the band, I didn't realize the entire band was walking around out back of the venue. I could have got all of their signatures. But what are you going to do? Whatever, you don't recognize everybody at first. This album, let's just get into it. This album is not Alice's best work. There are some really good tracks on here, which is why one of them I've actually talked about on a previous album without it being a greatest hits album or a live album. And we'll get back to Detroit City. This album was trying to get Alice trying to go back to his roots. Wanted to have more of a original band kind of sound, a garage band kind of sound. That as he put it at the time, the White Stripes were really popular at the time. A lot of that more garage band sounding bands were kind of back in the mainstream and sounding popular. The White Stripes are the big one. Outside, I guess you'd go theoretically the Strokes, you could say. A few other ones in there as well had that raw attitude. So Alice was like, yeah, let's get back into that era and let's do that sound again. The problem is this band, more of a heavier band than that, more of a hard rock metal band. Sure, they play all the classics, but when you go and listen to all the classics now, they got more of that hard edge to them. They don't have that same edge that they did back in the day. Even when you listen to live albums, those comparisons, live albums from back in the day versus live albums now, there's definitely a different tone and vibe to them. So for me, I think part of the problem with this album was, I don't want to say the band that was on it because the band is fantastic. It's just the sound for the band wasn't quite right, I think. So let's get into the actual tracks. First song, What Do You Want From Me? Starts off the album decently. It's not a bad tune, but for the most part, I find it kind of forgettable. Between High School and Old School, it's really weird. Alice has done a few kind of reflective on his age kind of songs as years have gone on. Between High School and Old School is definitely one of those songs, but it's not one of the better ones. He had actually on the brand new album with the reunion with the band, there was one on there that was more reflection that way and was definitely a lot better, I think, than Between High School and Old School. But Between High School and Old School had a really good riff to it, a really good vibe to it. A little more like classic Ramones kind of feel. Not the punkier side of it, but the side that tended to lean more towards like 50s rock. That kind of punk Ramones. Man of the Year lyrically is really fun, but outside of that, it's kind of okay. Novocaine, I don't mind. It's not the greatest, but it's not a bad tune. I really don't mind Novocaine. It might be one of the better songs on the album. Bye Bye Baby does nothing for me. Yeah. Be With You a While, I actually kind of enjoy. Even though I normally rip on Alice slow songs or ballads, Be With You a While is not a bad tune. Not a great tune. I mean, definitely better ballads. Might as well be on Mars. But Be With You a While is not bad. Detroit City. Okay, so as I mentioned, I've already talked about this song because Alice re-recorded it, changed some lyrics up, made some changes and whatnot to it, and re-released it on Detroit Stories, I believe it was. If it wasn't Detroit Stories, it was The Long Road. I can't remember which now. I want to say it was Detroit Stories, which makes the most sense in Detroit City, right? I liked the redo of it, but there was parts of it that didn't have the same vibe as this one did. And I really kind of dug the vibe on this one. And I still think I dig the vibe on this one a little bit better than the newer version. Then we're into Spirits Rebellious, which isn't bad. I actually enjoyed Spirits Rebellious. I thought it was pretty good. This House is Haunted. Okay, favorite song on the album. It's romantic. It is sweet. It is haunting. It is ominous. It is Edgar Allan Poe at its finest. Really sounds like something that could easily have come off of Welcome to My Nightmare. Sounds like, anything off of the classic albums. Just great vibe to it. It is probably, I would say, the most overlooked song on this album and is probably the most underutilized song on this album. Be very difficult. This one's a lot of ambiance, so it would honestly be difficult to redo it live and to do it fairly live. But it really is a song that really should have gotten a lot more love than it did. I think that if this album had been released today, this song may have been one of the videos just for fun because of how much fun they could have had with it. Then we're into Love Should Never Feel Like This. Great tune. Love Should Never Feel Like This. It really does encompass everything when you think of how love should not feel. Great tune. Really good fun tune. The song that didn't rhyme. Clever, but I hate it. There's parts of this song that are musically are brilliant. Lyrically are brilliant. Everything about this song, there is some real brilliance to this song. I don't like it. And it is, I think that's because the song, I don't like it, but I do like it. See, this is the problem with this song. The song that didn't rhyme does exactly what it's supposed to do. You're supposed to not like the song, but you're supposed to like the song. It's really weird, and it works perfectly, which makes it a great album cut, but at the same time, so many people are going to dislike it. I know, right? Bipolar on that one. Then we're in I'm So Angry, which I don't like. I'm So Angry kind of feels like a throw off from Wicked Young Man. Doesn't do anything for me. And then you get into the last track on the album, which is Backyard Brawl. And I actually am so sorry about Backyard Brawl. It works on the album. I don't mind it when the album's playing. When the album's not playing, I don't give a shit about it. If you're not an Alice Cooper fan, I can't recommend this album in good faith. It's not an album I would recommend to get into Alice Cooper. I think if someone picked this album up as their very first Alice Cooper album, they would be sorely disappointed and be like, this is Alice? I don't think this works as that way. This is an album for the fans, as far as I'm concerned. But it's not horrible. I mean, I'd give it at least a 5 out of 10. It's a passable album. I like it better than Special. And this one, I know people, I always get into it with people over this one. I really don't care for the Special Forces album, and I'm not a big fan of Zipper Catches either. Dada, I think, is pure brilliance. This album, I like about as much as Special Forces and Zipper Catches. Like this. One day I'm going to do an album ranking of all my Alice Cooper albums in order, best to worst. And when that day comes, I have a feeling this will definitely be in the bottom 5 along with Zipper Catches and Special Forces. Anyways, Let me know what you think. Am I being too hard on this album? I could be too hard on this album. Maybe. Um, let me know in the comment section. Uh, if you want to complain about my views on Special Forces and Zipper Catches, go watch the reviews for those instead. I'll link them down below, I guess. Then you can complain on those about my views on those albums on those actual reviews. Make it worthwhile. On your way down, if you can hit the like button, subscribe button, bell for notifications, that subscribe button, please. I'm really trying to get the numbers up. Otherwise, folks, peace, love, take care.